Keep it rolling. This is your purgatory, editor. I can see you, future self. You know what you did. Welcome, minions, to Bottle Bottom with Paddy, coming at you live from the kitchen, because devil only knows we're not allowed to leave our houses right now. Here at Bottle Bottom, with the help of our man behind the camera, Magic Josh, we are bringing you some fierce, wild, crazy cocktails without any of the professionalism that holds your favourite streamers back. Keeping it punk. What was it? Poor undertakings, not communism with a K. I don't even know anymore.
Who are you? Tell me who you are.
It's Paddy. It's like, thanks, Magic Josh. I appreciate your assistance on this one. So yeah, I'm Paddy. You may recognise me from such things as the Liberation Industries role-playing podcast or various other theatrical enterprises around. You still in Melbourne? I think we're still in Melbourne. Legally, anyway. It's like, I'll be over to Panama in no time. But there are two rules that we keep to here at Bottle Bottom. I am not allowed to buy more booze. I have too much, it's a problem. The whole point of these challenges is to get rid of it. The second rule, well, there isn't actually a second rule. I just like to say that you get to watch me suffer, because why else would I do these things? Anyway, so to stoke our creativity, we have in fact had a request come in from our friendly people around the internet, and if any of you know me, suggesting that I do something on the internet is actually a disturbingly reliable way to guarantee that I will do it. We have a special cocktail requested by a friend of mine, Logan, one of the up-and-coming stars of the Australian independent tabletop role-playing game culture? Are we a culture? I guess we're a culture. His Kickstarter just funded, so we're making a celebratory cocktail tonight. Not actually sure if Logan wants to drink alcohol, so in fact you get two celebratory cocktails tonight. One alcoholic and one, well, not. It's a mocktail, I guess. Those are still fun. We'll see how we go. The main theme ingredient for the night, and I would love to be doing like a Takeshi Kaga thing, but we can't afford that. It's a smoke machine. Our insurance goes through the roof. Big bag of frozen raspberries. You should be able to get these. I did actually buy these. I'm just not buying more alcohol. You can't stop me. Look, I stole some of the alcohol. It'll all balance out. Big bag of raspberries. So you get your raspberries, your frozen raspberries. You got them with you? Good. Yeah. Look. Anyway, so you get your raspberries. Get a, I don't know. If your hands are bigger than mine, maybe not a whole fistful of mint leaves, but you get your mint leaves. You get your raspberries, and we're going to murder them using a blender. But we're going to murder them.
Dreams are made!
Seems about right. Well, these are a little more bitsy than I expected, but that's alright. Because they're frozen, they can basically substitute for ice in any sort of mix that we're doing. That's alright. Now, fun fact, I don't actually have a cocktail shaker in the house. We're going to have to improvise, but admittedly, that's probably a good mantra for any of you following along at home. So if you don't have a cocktail shaker, you're not going to feel left out. What we're going to do, got a glass here, I'm going to use it to mix things. Pretty simple thing. So we're probably going to do our non-boozy version first, just to, keep you all on your toes, because by the time we get to the boozy version, you're not going to be listening anymore, you're going to be drinking your drink. So, what we do, get my little utility drawer going on here. I'm going to scoop some scoops in here. Once again, I am not your mum. Have you called her? I mean, I'm not going to govern your behaviour, I'm not going to guilt you on that, but maybe you should. So, we get a couple of good, it's probably about 2 ounces in there. Get that at the bottom of the glass. Now for our first ingredient. Should Coles be paying me for this? I don't know. Get yourself a measure of lemon juice. Now this is what's going to be giving us our zip, a nice little bit of tartness to break through the raspberries are a little bit tart, but we're going to augment that. Get that at the bottom, and we add a measure of this suspicious liquid for good measure. Like, this is simple syrup, team. I'm just soaking lemons and parsley in it because I do use that for other things. It does look a little, I don't know, what does it look like? It's got its own business going on, so we'll take an equal measure of that. I'm always of the mind that you should probably use a bit less simple syrup than a recipe suggests. Admittedly though, that's because my palate doesn't tend towards the sweet so much. But in this case, it's actually going to be lending the drink quite a bit of body, so we're going to have to roll with that. Give that a little shake. It's looking a little grim at the moment, but I'm going to have to do a little bit of time travel, folks. Da-na-na-na-na. Yeah, I love it. It's like, I forgot to pick this up a second ago. Keep it real, kids. Soda water. For those who didn't want to follow along with the wild outtakes. So yeah, we've just sort of muddled all this happily together, and we're going to cut it with something. I mean, if I were feeling like wildly decadent, we could use champagne, but that's probably going to be something safe for the boozy version. So what you got there, ultimately, on a small scale, and you could easily upscale this to like make a big jug of it, is a really nice, easygoing summer cooler. So let's see how that's balancing. Ooh, yeah. Now it's still a bit crunchy, but I don't know that I could get those raspberries to sort of shred down any further. As they melt, they're going to release more and more of that nice colour into the drink. I hate to say that I've nailed it in one, but kids at home, I have absolutely not. Did I test this before? No, I did not. I just did it. You know, you can't judge me. I just act without thinking. I'm going to pass this over to Magic Josh, and he's going to give it his verdict. But as mocktails go, that one's actually got quite a bit of life.
10 out of 10.
Love it. Yeah, damn right. Yeah, it's like we should just be sober all the time. I mean, that sentiment is not going to last to the end of the episode, children, and like neither are your livers. So, wow, that turned out incredibly well. So, to recap for the folks playing along at home, mulch up your frozen raspberries and mint. It's a measure of lemon juice, a measure of simple syrup, and just top up with soda water. You got a gorgeous little summer cooler style. Now, for those of us who are not content to sit on our laurels and let that be, we're going to do the whole process again. A couple of ounces of your shredded raspberry and mint mix. They're sticking to the spoon. I think it's an omen. Now, what we're going to do, now if we're going to be chasing similar flavours on this one, gin. I don't have anything witty to say about gin. I'll save that for another episode, but you know, this is... Well, we've got a fairly robust Australian one here. Sweet Jennifer from Terra Firma. Oh boy, it's punchy. So it is going to carry through all kinds of things. If you are looking to chase this in your local market but do not have access to... Well, like this one is incredibly obscure and I think we had to drive to Daylesford to get it, so... you might not be able to find it. Go for a nice dry one, either, not necessarily a navy strength, but go for a dry London style gin, something with plenty of citrus, sharpness, something that's going to sing through the rest of the array. So measure that, Contro. A Contro paying me for... The joke's gotten old, hasn't it, kids? Or maybe it hasn't. Maybe I've edited it out and you don't even realise I'm making the joke. Devil if I can't open bottles. Just going to go the same again on that. Sort of chase a much diluted Corpse Reviver vibe. Not in a bad way, but, you know, enough to sing. I'm going to have to do so much washing up, kids. Always clean the house. Mysterious substance. It's not going, well, I don't think it's going in yet. We'll find out. And once again, we top up with soda water. As I said, I don't think I'm feeling Hemingway enough to sort of jump in and do the champagne on this one. I've got some, but I might save it for death in the afternoons, which honestly is just a giant up yours because, you know, I have loads of absinthe. Most people's liquor cabinet cannot boast the same. So, we've got a nice little colour to that, like a nice little sort of visual texture to that one from the gin. And we get it from the lemon juice as well, which is why I actually often like to just have lemon juice as a sort of gin substitute in your mocktails. So, here's our boozy version. Look, I would say call it respectably boozy. It's a couple of hairs under classic martini, I guess, but let's see where we end up. Still got plenty of complexity. It's a much sort of drier experience, I guess, than the mocktail version, which when you consider the amount of simple syrup I threw into that, absolutely makes sense. But I do not think I would want to oversweeten this. You certainly could, just add a half measure of simple syrup to it if you'd like, but it's got a beautiful sort of springtime look to it as well, doesn't it? I will let Magic Josh have a little taste of his own.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what the reaction to that is.
Mocktail was sweeter.
Yeah, mocktail was definitely sweeter. But I think that worked out pretty nicely. Yeah, that's come together really well. Why does this happen? It's like every time I have a bad idea and decide to execute it, it's just immediately a good idea. This is my first drink in about 3 weeks, so let's see what happens, children. Yeah, so that turned out very nicely. So, there you go, Logan. If you were putting this together, the boozy version, relatively simple ingredients. You take your shredded raspberries and mint, dump them in the bottom of the glass, measure of gin, measure of Cointreau, top up with soda water. And for now I'm going to be calling this one The Graduate. It's an in-joke, and I've probably stolen someone else's cocktail name, but if they come for me in the comments, I am just going to... I'll call it something else. Look, vote what you think it's called. This isn't a democracy, I'm not going to change anything. Let anarchy reign.
And your face in the middle? Yeah, great. Perfect.
Which one's which? One of these drinks always tells the truth and the other always lies. You do both. So once again, massive props to Logan for his success online and I think getting 500 followers on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, it's at Ink and Stories. Just go there and get into like 600 or 1,000. I know there are millions of you out there listening to my voice right now. You gotta go and do it. Or go to Breathing Stories on itch.io to get his delicious games. Alrighty folks, this has been Bottle Bottom with Paddy. It's been great having you here. Feel free to catch up with me on liberationindustries.net. And now to thank our generous sponsors and patrons. You'll keep on rocking, kids. I'll see you when I do.